For my radio DJ users with slight abandonment issues, oh my goodness, this one's for sweet you. I know it's been a while since I've done a radio DJ only video. Two things we're going to tackle. First up, you're probably using events in the wrong way. And using events improperly only causes heartbreak and train wreck sound. So come on, stop it. And I've got some super cool code to guarantee a fresh sound with all your radio station imaging. Okay, you ready? Buckle up, we're off.
We are on the air.
And if you're new around these parts, well, hey there, I'm Jeff, the radio DJ dude. All things radio, this is your safe place. Okay, let's zoom in to an issue that's actually been an issue for a long time with the software RadioDJ, which, you know, anyone who's cool and cheap uses. No, this is the absolute best piece of free software that you'll ever stumble upon to launch your own internet radio station. So the big issue that we've all known about is with events. Now, there is a way to use events properly, and hey, I'm not an event hater. I love them at the top of the hour position. I use events every hour to, you know, clean out the old playlist, you load the new rotation, you slide in the top of the hour ID, and you kick everything into gear for the next hour. And in that way, they work perfectly.
And I also use them to load up my stop sets. As you can see here, I have a lot going on, and they're perfect for that too.
But here is the big problema, and I've done a whole deep dive video in the past on this. This is like one of my early videos you should check out if you want a better sleep aid than this video. But the problem is when you try to jam in an event within a rotation. Now, my station, XXX80s.com, your home for all things totally awesome 80s. Well, that station runs 24/7 on rotations. And I know a lot of you use rotations in the same way. But this is the biggest error you could make if you really want to clunk up your sound, is to add an event to a rotation. It's a recipe for dead air disaster. And there's no reason you should take some rando YouTube dude's word for this. Let's jump into RadioDJ, and I am going to roll out a test that I did.
For this test, I created a special test bed just for sweet little YOU. And here's what it sounds like. So I'm going to move the next start cue point right to the last millisecond of the music. And then the end cue point, I'm actually going to leave where it is.
This is all to prove that events, oh my God, they're so damn disrespectful. They could give two shits about that next start cue marker. They wait until the very end of your file to trigger the next element. And to me, that sounds like dog craparola, and you'd never hear that on my air, damn it.
Granted, if all your endpoints were right on top of your next start cue points, then you wouldn't have an issue. But that's not true for a lot of us with our music tracks. So I like the way this looks. This will really do a great job at pointing out the problem. So let's save this. Now I've created this event test event. It is a manual event because those are the only kinds that you can actually, you know, import into a rotation. And all this is going to do is going to load up and play a station jingle. Okay? That's looking good. Now let's build this event test rotation. And this is the big gotcha I see so many people doing. They come down here and they say, hey, let's put in a manual event. That sounds like a super keen idea. Well, you know what I say about that. Exactly. That's why I'm wasting time with this video. But to demonstrate the error of those ways, we'll push on. We'll add this manual event to the rotation and keep you perched on the edge of your futon for the results. There we go. Event error test. And make that auto. Here we go, test bed event. And then we'll go into Laura Branigan. So in theory, at the very last node of the test bed, it should trigger this event. But if it doesn't, you'll hear the hoarse whinny and then a second of silence, proving that it's waiting to the true end of the file before it triggers the event. Okay, enough clippity clop. Let's giddy up.
XXX80s.
Junkaroonie, not having it. So what's the solution? I have the workaround for you. If you want to slide in an event in a rotation, there is the right way to do it. And it's by using these silent dummy files that you set up in the track manager over in the Others tab. You see right down here, you can actually assign a start action to this file. So when this silent file is triggered, and this file, by the way, it's like a quarter of a second long. So if you slide this file into your rotation, it is programmed to trigger whatever event that you tell it to over here in the Others tab. Now this actually does respect the next start cue point. Oh, you want proof? More proof.
Fabulous Hit Machine.
Triple X 80s.
But if you've been hanging for me for any length of time, I mean, you already know this. And the only reason I'm jumping into this again, because I received an email from a RadioDJ user wondering the best way to bring in some, station imaging elements. Should it use an event? But no, I mean, unless you're using an event to trigger some top of the hour actions, where, top of the hour, duh, that happens at 0000. We all know that. But trying to program a sweeper to hit at 18 minutes every hour with an event outside of a rotation, just a plain and simple event, that's also another recipe for crappiness, because we're playing music and every song has a different running time. So there's no way you're actually going to accurately predict when that event should trigger. And usually it just doesn't sound good. So the proper way to program an event within a rotation is to use this dummy file method. But that's not the only way to trigger off a complex string of actions. You can also come up with a SQL query, some code, which will do the same thing. But I know a lot of you are codeophobes, and hey, I'm no coding genius. I maintain I am still a coding bonehead. But that doesn't stop me from dabbling. Oh, I'm always, tapping the shoulder of my favorite, robo coders in the cloud for help. And because of ChatGPT and Claude, I've been able to come up with some really cool queries that have allowed me to transform nutty creative ideas into really sweet on-air features. So I encourage you to do the same. If you could dream up cool ideas, the bots will help you write up the code to make those a reality. And this leads into my next tip, how to keep your content, your station imaging sounding super fresh if you run a station purely on rotations. A while back, I did a very unscientific analysis for my listeners of Triple X 80s. When were they tuning in the most? What day parts had the most concentration of, open ear holes? And I found the morning hours for me, like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., I had a bunch of listeners. And there's a good chance some of those are repeat listeners. Now, if you're a repeat listener and you're listening to those 3 hours every day, and it's a rotation-based station, you're going to hear the same features. Granted, I have a ton of jingles and elements in all my subcategories, but eventually they rotate through and you're bound to, hear the same stuff. And zooming out for the bigger picture, who gives two sheets? The listeners are there for your music. And as long as you're not hearing the same songs every morning, you're in good shape. But I still like to provide the freshest content holistically as possible. So one way to do that is tapping a piece of code that I came up with a long time ago. Another one of my very early videos was figuring out a way to play weekend-specific jingles that actually mention the weekend in them only on Saturday and Sunday. And I did a video about that too. And while this code still works, I found a way to update it. And I think what I'm about to share with you totally outclasses that previous code, and this gives you a lot more options. So let's dive into a rotation right here. And if you see, in this one position of the rotation, you may hear a station jingle. Well, if I want to mix that up and say, okay, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, play station jingle, but Tuesdays and Thursdays, why don't you play a fun liner element, which is a different production element in my library. Well, this code will achieve that by using these nutty, date strings in the query. And then down here, we could have weekend code, which, honors the original intent of Saturday and Sunday. In this rotation position, you run a weekend themed jingle. So this piece of code does that. But what I stumbled upon, which makes it even cooler and even more random, which randomness even keeps your favorites that much fresher, well, it's this piece of the code right here, where from each of these subcategories, the jingles, the liners, the weekend jingles, well, I'm asking RadioDJ to select 4 songs, 4 just random tracks. Then down here, we need to eventually select one that's going to hit the air if it, abides by the date rule. If it's on a Tuesday, well, it needs to pull 4 tracks from this subcategory. Then at the bottom, it'll randomly choose one of those tracks, but it'll choose the one that's least recently played.
But to be crystal clear about this random functionality, let's run the original query with the random code in it and see how it selects our station jingles. This query is selecting 4 by random, then choosing the one that was the least recently played. So let's look over here. Where does Cool Casey even come up? Is it truly choosing? I thought it was choosing, the next 4, but no. It's choosing randomly, so Cool Casey comes way down here. That's a little troubling because let's say it chooses these 4, right, that were just played. Just played, meaning maybe in the past couple hours, but still, if it has a pattern of choosing 4 pretty much from the most recently played, that just does not sound good. So right off the bat, this makes me nervous. I erroneously believed that it was just choosing these 4, but that doesn't make sense. That's not the definition of the word random. But now we know.
And I haven't seen this code anywhere before, and it was actually through the help of those coding robots that helped me come up with it, because, we've always had access to the random, function for sorting tracks. But random, I've had too many dicey experiences in the past, and I don't recommend random for anyone, especially if you're choosing music, because aside from your artists and track rules within RadioDJ, it still can pick a song that was recently played, and it doesn't rotate through your entire library in a thorough enough fashion. So I never use random, except this way there's guardrails. I've told you to pull 4 tracks that have least recently been played, choose one of those 4, so at least I'm guaranteed it is a track from the back of the stack.
So this is our query that is using the random least recently played scenario. So let's look at our list here. And yes, I am digging this. So here are our top 4 least recently played jingles, right? It selected Time Warp. So out of these 4, this is the one that it picked, and that's perfect. It's following the rules, and that injects a little more random freshness into your mix. God, it took me so long to figure this out, but I'm so happy I did, and I definitely encourage you to follow this workflow. And the cool thing, you want to up the freshness factor, you just, could change these numbers, but keep in mind, you have to have enough elements in any one subcategory to support jacking up the limits. Even the old radio DJ dude learned something new today. I think that deserves a drink. Or 3.
So that's my fresh gift to you. And if you break out in hives when you see all this coding gobbledygook, be strong, my radio DJ dudes and dudettes. I know you can handle it. Just copy and paste your way to success. I'm sure there'll be links to some of this code in the description. Check all that grooviness out. Well, I'm not thrilled with doing these procedural type videos. I'm happy to do them if they serve you. If you have a specific topic, if there's a certain function or feature of RadioDJ you'd like me to deeper dive into, well, hey, that's what we're here for. I'm here to serve you. You first got to let me know what videos would float your dinghy. So let me know in the comments below. And if you got at least 9% enjoyment out of this little ditty, please shower me with a like and subscribe. I so thank you very much. And until our next little radio rendezvous. Oh, did I even say? I didn't even say it. Who gives a shit? I'm Jeff, the Radio DJ Dude. And until our next little radio rendezvous, you keep rocking those mics all over the world.